I planted roses in concrete, only to find weeds of deep-seated regret and superficiality stick out of the pavement of the person I ought to have been all along, but simply couldn't be. I planted roses in concrete, and somehow you might bring yourself to believe that my roses may have been a bright red, vibrant and alive, but they were like seaweed, disgustingly green, and the dullest gray that the human eye could perceive. Because they were dying every day, little by little, piece by piece. I planted roses in concrete, hoping that they would be strong enough to withstand their toxicity and still flourish in the cold concrete that was them, in the rain and the storms that were me. But all I found in the end, when I probed for something that could possibly save me, were broken fragments of the person I used to be. A person who lived only for them and never for me. I planted roses in concrete. Glass menagerie sat on my chest. It is truly a pity how they thought they would be able to murder the love that lived inside of me. Because I was forever bound to a love that chose me. I planted roses in concrete, and words of affirmation and praise soon became unwanted reminders of the person I could have been but failed to be in the end, because I finally refused to be anyone but me. I planted roses in concrete. I concealed my reality with facades and curations, filters and masks, like there was absolutely nothing in the world that could break me. I sunk in the depths of their superficiality, and in the process of doing so, forever lost the essence of the person I was destined to be. I planted roses in concrete, this time more fearlessly, because I had been someone I was not for far too long, and being authentic and true to myself was never something that came naturally to me. In a futile attempt to satisfy everyone's needs, I became someone I began to hate eventually. They tell you darkness is the sort of thing that does not allow you to see light, yet they forget to mention that the light is often more blinding than the darkness will ever be. I became myself, and not some you or some them that the world needed to see, because the truth is, they never defined me. I planted roses in concrete at a time when being someone I never wanted to be was deemed a massive feat. But just because my roses could not bloom in the concrete that was them didn't mean I was going to accept defeat so easily. They were simply too hard, too rigid in their beliefs to ever understand me, to let my roses grow into them and into a world full of weeds, just like the ones they had planted in their hearts by fostering hatred and giving in to bitterness and disregarding the beauty that existed only for them in the smallest of things. I planted roses in concrete, only to see them perish a little bit at a time. As the seasons changed, they pruned my petals more and more every day because I had to embody their definition of perfect, didn't I? But their concrete minds are nothing but constricted, and I can do nothing to change them. So I am going to bury my dead roses in the graveyard of my past now. Watch the epitaphs stand tall in the cemetery, a place that felt like home to me once. But the concrete was always bleak, and it was hardly ever mine to keep because it was killing every part of me. And now, I can't bring myself to believe that love is nothing but deceit. I planted roses in concrete. I'm sorry I couldn't be what you wanted me to be. And I can't tell you how much I miss the me that once was, but isn't anymore. I planted roses in concrete, only to find the seeds take root in the soil of their toxicity. I could no longer be me. My stems grew, perished a bit too, tore away at every rose, shriveling up inside of me, into pieces too small for you or the world to see. The remnants of all that I was lay dead in my palm, like my tired soul that had loved for far too long. I planted roses in concrete. All I had was my stem in the end, abnormally short from prolonged, stunted growth. Once sharp and fresh, thorns had become weak too, just like me. When I fell in love with the world, only to find out that love was not something people ever gave to you freely. I lost the love I had inside of me to hatred's weeds that spread like wildfire in my heart, which was broken too, because of the depth of the love that it held for everyone and everything. I planted roses in concrete. They trampled my self-esteem and walked all over me, like there was no inherent meaning in my reality. I planted roses in concrete at a time when you wanted me to be someone I didn't have the ability to be. Because I was and always will be someone who loves and nothing more. And now I have planted my roses' seeds, but this time not in concrete, but in the bare soil that is me, where they were always meant to be. Because this is where they will flourish. This is where they will be, free of bitterness, anger, hatred, and envy. My roses will be liberated, and they will finally breathe in this reality that was only profoundly bittersweet. And never again will I think about the roses that I planted in the concrete of them. Once, twice, thrice, long ago, in the shadows of the real me. The me that the world ought to have seen.